This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Wednesday, number 5. Thanks a lot for joining us. As always, we appreciate you. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. I'm Jim Coyle. Welcome in. Hope you had a great start to the week last night. A big opening of college basketball on the program today. The Toddfather, Todd Leary's back to talk about all the basketball action from last night. Matt Weaver from Pigs.com will join us. We're going to talk some football, some sad news out of IU for football, man. Michael Penix, the starting quarterback, lost for the season. Went down just before halftime of the last win over oh my gosh, I can't even remember who they – what's that? Yeah, Northwestern. Man, just – a couple plays before the half, he goes down and doesn't come back. Very sad deal. He had to have surgery. Luckily, it wasn't his throwing shoulder, but we'll get to all that and be talking about that. A little surprised by some of the fans' reactions to it, disappointing and all that. But lots to talk about. The college football poll is out as well. The Big Ten doing very well there. Ohio State number 1, Penn State number 4. Unfortunately, those are both teams in Indiana on Indiana's schedule. Penn State, of course, the next game up for the Hoosiers, and they'll be doing so without Michael Penix for certain, which it's not like they're going in blindfolded with Peyton Ramsey. He's a very, very quality backup, obviously. Done a great job so far. There's no dispute. There's a difference between those quarterbacks now. This is not downplaying Peyton Ramsey, but when Michael Penix was in there, it's a difference. It's a different offense. They're so much faster, and but Peyton Ramsey did a good job at Nebraska. He's going to get the opportunity to do the same thing against Penn State. He's going to actually take most of the snaps this year, ironically. Substantially most of the snaps this year at the end of the season. So Indiana still in great shape to get to a minimum of 8 wins, I think, and a very good bowl in Florida. I can see them going to Jacksonville, if they can end up at an 8-4 record, I can easily see them sliding down to Jacksonville for the Gator Bowl. That would be perfect. Very, very, that would be a nice little deal there. But we'll talk about more of that as well with Matt Weaver. Last night's game, big game for the Hoosiers. They open up the season. A couple of great performances, man. Justin Smith and Al Durham. Justin Smith ties a career high with 24 points on 11 of 17 shooting. In 22 minutes, too. That's a very efficient 22 minutes. Al Durham played 27 minutes, played on the point a lot. He had 21 points on a perfect shooting night. Perfect shooting night. He was 7 of 7. 3 of 3 from behind the stripe, from behind the arc, and 4 of 4 at the free throw line. He had 4 rebounds and 3 assists to go with that. What an incredible stat line for Al Durham. If they can get that kind of performance from him this season, that is going to pay huge dividends. Rob Finney got in for about 18 minutes, and he scored in double figures. That you talk about efficient from the point position. 14 points on 6 of 10 shooting. He even shot a couple 3-pointers. He hit one of those. He looked pretty good last night. Man, he looked good for the limited time he was in there. So if they can get increased scoring from Rob Finney, that changes the game here for this team. This team this year looks to be a much, much more well-rounded team as far as getting contributions from equal places. Nice stat line last night. Trace Jackson Davis, the freshman, got the start. He had 8 points, 4 of 5. Nice performance there. Joey Brunk, 11 points on 5 of 7 shooting. They did what they were supposed to do. They worked the ball inside. Those guys got good shots, and they hit them. And that's what you have to do. Now, I understand the competition's Western Illinois, but once you go up to shoot the ball, the shot's the shot. So that's actually that's a good sign for this Hoosier team. I thought that they looked very together. They shot 58% from the field overall, so a really good night for them. Really good night. We'll talk more about that, of course, with when Todd Leary comes on. But with the players afterwards, they got to speak with Justin Smith, Al Durham, and Rob Fennessy, three of the main cogs of that wheel last night. Let's hear what those guys had to say.
I think we asked you all about kind of defense to offense, but Justin, you specifically had a number of moments tonight where you were able to get out in transition because of what you did defensively. Just how important to your offensive game do you want what you do at the defensive end of the floor to be this year?
I feel like I'm at my best in transition, so being able to create turnovers and really get out and run, use my athleticism to really benefit our team. But just in general, we got to use defense to create our offense, especially with the kind of versatility that we have, the kind of athletes that we have. So I feel like if we just focus more on the defensive end, then we can get going.
Mike and Greg?
Or Al, where coaches talked about pushing tempo for a while now, but it really seemed to click tonight. Can you talk about how much that was a point of emphasis and how effective you think you were?
We talk about it every day in practice, pushing the tempo and just outrunning our opponents, really. So we can outrun our opponents for most of the game. We can run them down, really, basically.
Rob?
Oh, yeah. I mean, what Al just said pretty much, but that's our main focus, just get out in transition and score easy buckets.
Greg?
Al, I don't see you have a stat sheet there. Have you looked at it yet? Do you know what you did? Do you know how many shots you missed?
No, I didn't look at it. Could you tell me?
Take a look. It's right in front of you.
I think you might know.
We were 7 for 7 today.
We were, weren't we? How does that feel? I mean, was it going? Obviously, you're not aware of that as it happens, so you're not feeling pressure as the shots mount and you haven't missed one yet.
I mean, my teammates were finding me. They did a good job with that, and they trusted me to knock down the shots, and that's what I did today. I feel like I prepared for this moment, and it went my way today.
There's the players. Man, I got a frog in my throat today. Sorry about that. There's the players. That was Justin Smith, Al Durham, and Rob Fennessy. Also, Archie Miller, of course, spoke after the game on the opening win by the Hoosiers. Let's hear what Archie had to say.
Win, opening night. It's always, get the season off on a good note. It's hard to win in college basketball, and for our guys, there's a lot of newness out there, a lot of inexperience. There's a lot of question marks in terms of what's going to happen sometimes on game night, and for us to be able to win the game. I'm excited about that, and our team should be as well. We got a lot of way to go. We're not a very good defensive team right now, and that's got to get shored up. We had a quick turnaround Saturday, and Portland State will present a lot of different challenges for us because of their style, with their pressing and whatnot. But we're off and running here. We played a lot of guys, which was good to see, and as we get a little bit more healthy and get Devontae back, I think everyone can tell that there's not a guy that doesn't belong out there. So. Hopefully it continues to give us confidence in that what we're doing is working and we can keep getting better.
There's Coach Archie Miller, Indiana's coach, his opening comments last night. We'll hear more from all of those guys later in the show. We'll talk to Todd Leary about it as well in the next segment when he comes on here with us. The college football playoffs poll came out, the first one last night.
Playoffs?
Exactly. Playoffs? We're talking playoffs? That was not bad, Jake. Not bad. Did that go over the air? Good. That's not bad. You're not bad. Ohio State coming in number one, surprising a few people, but and you've got LSU and Alabama, and then you've got Penn State. And the funny thing is, all four of those teams, they play each other here very soon. I think LSU, Alabama, that's this week, I believe. So we'll get our first taste of that one. And then Ohio State, Penn State. They play in a few weeks. I don't know if that's the game after Ohio State. So, because we've talked about this could be a little bit of an advantage to Indiana, hopefully, for both of these big games they have coming up against Penn State and then Michigan. With the Penn State game, Indiana's on a bye week, which helps them, especially now that Michael Penix is out, and Peyton Ramsey will definitely be running the offense. So he gets 2 full weeks of taking all the number one snaps. So that's going to make things even better. So Indiana should be pretty well prepared offensively going to Happy Valley. And then Penn State has that Ohio State game looming the week after Indiana. And they know that game is looming after Indiana. And then the following week, Indiana hosts Michigan. Well, Michigan is playing Michigan State this week, I believe. And then, of course, Indiana the following week. And then the weekend after that, they've got Ohio State. So Michigan has 2 gigantic games buffeted around their game with Indiana. And so does Penn State, because this week Penn State is taking on the other 8-0 team in the Big Ten besides Ohio State, Minnesota. So Minnesota and Penn State play this week. It's a huge game, getting a lot of attention. So that's drawing Penn State's attention away from Indiana, luckily. And then the weekend after they play Indiana, they've got to face the Buckeyes. Whatever. But so hopefully that works out to Indiana's favor and somehow. Regardless of that, they end up on the road at West Lafayette against Purdue, who's down to their third-string quarterback. And you absolutely cannot count any chickens before they're hatched. Rivalry game, all that stuff. It's on the road, so anything could happen. But all things being equal, there's no way Indiana should lose that game. I mean, they're going to be at full strength offensively, minus Michael Penix, of course, but with Peyton Ramsey, you're not missing a lot, especially against a team that has not done a whole lot this year. Now, again, I understand it's a rivalry game. It's Purdue, so anything can happen, and all bets are off. But they should win that game. They should be minimum 8-4 to end this season. And I'm hopeful that an 8-4 record gets them possibly into the Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida. So good things, man. Lots of good things coming up. Looking forward to that. But what do you think about the college football poll? You got the top 4 teams out there. Ohio State. Here's my concern is when LSU and Alabama play, whoever that loser is, how much are they going to be affected? If they just drop a spot or two, then when the Big Ten teams play, Ohio State and Penn State, let's see how different that loser of that game is treated, because it shouldn't be any different, to be honest with you. One thing that a lot of people were surprised by is Minnesota at 8-0 is ranked 17th. That's not the surprise, but who is in front of them is the surprise, and that is several one-loss teams, and I think a half a dozen two-loss teams. I don't get that. I understand that people are suspect of Minnesota's schedule, and they're going to have the opportunity to play out of that. And to give you another example, the first year that this college football playoff, Ohio State in the first poll was 16. They won the national championship that year. So there's no reason to get all into Twitter about Minnesota being 17th, other than they're being disrespected because of their schedule, and maybe that's deserving. They'll have the opportunity to play out of that with the games against Penn State, against Wisconsin, and against Iowa. They run the table on those guys, well, they'll be up in the top 4. They run the table on those guys and win the Big Ten title, they're going to be in the top 4. There's no doubt about that. So I don't think that Minnesota needs to worry about whining about where they are right now. You haven't played anybody, truth be told. So the schedule's worked out very well for them, and they'll have their opportunities to change that. So, hey, man, we got a lot coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Had a great show last night after the game with Todd Leary from the Tap in B-Town on the square there. Again, thanks a lot to everybody, to Nathan and Chris and Wes and all the guys at the Tap last night. Great time there, great facility. Love going there. If you haven't been there, you need to stop by on the Southwest Square in Bloomington. Todd Leary, always, of course, a great job breaking down the game action. He's going to be with us here next to talk about that, talk about last night's game, talk about the other games as well that went on. Kentucky, Michigan State, as the Spartans go in number 1, playing number 2 Kentucky, and the Wildcats knock off Sparty. And then you had Kansas and Duke in the other game. Kansas, 18 first-half turnovers, man. That's nuts. And they were only down by like 3 or something. That's even crazier. Can't believe that. But we got a lot to get to. Coming back here on Indiana Sports Beat with Todd Leary right after this. Stay tuned from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you, of course, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Wednesday, November 5th, day after the college basketball opening night, joined now by our good friend, the Toddfather, Todd Leary. Todd, how are you, brother?
I'm great this morning. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Great show last night at the Tap. I was talking about it earlier out there, post-game show after the game with Todd Leary, recapping Indiana's season opening win over Western Illinois. Great time at the Tap last night, man.
Yeah, it was. What a great setup. We really appreciate how hospitable they were to us. They set us up in a great location with the general staring over our shoulder the whole night, keeping an eye on us. So all was good. It was fun after a good game.
And a good game it was for the Indiana Hoosiers as they win that one, 98-65 to open the season. A lot of performances from different guys, which is a great sign for this Hoosier team in different places. And I'll start with Al Durham, who was kind of being put into a different position last night, having to play some point because of Rob Finney having some health issues at the moment. But what a great job Al Durham did. A perfect shooting night, man. He goes 7 of 7, 3 of 3 behind the arc, and 4 of 4 at the free throw line, 21 points, just one off his career high. 4 assists, or 3 assists to go with that, too. So just an incredible night for him.
Yeah, it really was. And, you know, in going back through the game after we left our show, I started watching some of the video and it wasn't just the amount of points that he scored, and it wasn't just the way that he scored them and being able to make some 3-pointers and getting to the basket. It was the timing more than anything that I think is a good sign for Indiana. Is when they were really struggling, he was the guy who, he didn't go rah-rah everybody. He just went and scored some baskets and got a steal and got a rebound, and he put him on his back. And that's as close to, what I can say Calbert Chaney was like a long time ago. Now, I'm not comparing the two players by any means. They're totally different kind of players. But it was kind of one of those things. Calbert was so great at leading without really having to say anything or do anything. He just went and got the job done. And if you watched Al Durham last night, we talked about it a little bit. There were some struggles offensively, and I think Indiana was even down by 3 or 4 points at that second TV timeout in the first half. And, he didn't come out of the huddle like screaming and yelling at everyone. He just, as a lot of really good leaders do, he just went out, scored a couple baskets, played really hard. He got a steal, a rebound. And it was just everyone started to kind of follow in suit after that and play as hard as he did. And when you're a guy that's leading and you also play harder than everyone else, it almost forces the other guys on the floor to join in with you and play just as hard as you are. And I really thought that was a big key for him last night. I think leadership wise, he kind of solidified his role as the leader on the team right now.
He definitely did an outstanding job, and the guy that he was backing up, or quote unquote, Rob Finney, be out, not out, but limited minutes because he's going through an abdominal issue. Played 16 or 18 minutes on the night, but even with that, Rob Finney still scored 14 points on 6 of 10 shooting, hit a 3-pointer. That's production they didn't really get from him last year, and to get that in such a muted time, that's a very efficient night for him, and that's good. That's a great sign going forward.
Yeah, it really is, and I'll tell you, I don't know that we could say they didn't really get it from him last year as much as it really wasn't asked of him. That's not the position he played, and that's not really what his role was last year. But I can tell you, it was real nice to be able to see him come in and play more of a scoring guard role. I don't think he's ever played that in any of his career. I think he's always been a true point guard. And I think in the last 2 years of his athletic life, I think he has really, really improved offensively. I think he's improved at scoring, going to the basket. His outside jump shot has definitely improved. I think he has turned into more of a, possible 1-2 guard as opposed to just being a true point guard. And being able to come in off the bench like that, I don't think we'll see him come off the bench throughout the season. I think he'll be a starter when his minutes are unlimited. But I also think that he gives them a little bit more flexibility right now. You can throw Al Durham over at the point guard, and you can throw Franklin at the point guard when he comes in. I mean, there's a lot of Devontae Green can also play some point guard. So they've got in a position that we thought maybe might have some injuries and weakness. They showed a little bit of depth last night at that position. And Finney, man, I couldn't talk more highly about what I thought his freshman year was like last year. He had a terrific year, not just for a freshman, but in general. And boy, he sure started out his sophomore year on a positive note last night, I thought.
Yeah, and you mentioned Armand Franklin, another guard that was in there last night. A great performance by him, a freshman getting a start. He played 27 minutes, so he got a lot of time in there. He didn't shoot the ball particularly well last night. He was only 1 of 5, scoring 5 points, but he was 3 of 4 at the free throw line, and this big number, a big fat 8 under that assist ledger.
Yeah, I mean, that's anytime you get a freshman that is able to have a game where he has 8 assists and no turnovers, you should be looking at that as a really, really solid to excellent performance. And, he did that in his first real game out on the court. So a lot of good expectations and things possible for him. I watched him shoot the ball in warm-ups quite a bit, and he looked like he was a decent shooter. So, I don't think it's going to be a situation where you've got him on the floor, you've got a real liability. I don't know that they'll rely on him to stand out there and shoot a whole lot, but that's not really what that position calls for anyway. The 8 assists is just tremendous, and there's a lot of really good things that happened in that game that I think you can take away from it in positives. And the fun part of being a fan, and especially with it being in basketball, is they get to have more games coming up real soon, so we get to build on and see what our expectations become of these kids in the games, and we get to do it, 4 days later. So it's real fun to be able to look at this and see how he, how he builds on his first game. There's a lot of excitement in that first game of your college career. And, now that's kind of gone away, and now he's just a college basketball player. He's not just a freshman in his first game anymore. So it'll be fun to watch him on Saturday and see how they back that up.
Justin Smith, nobody's been harder on Justin Smith than I have been last year because I
might have been.
Yeah, because I thought he was constantly trying to do things that he really shouldn't have been trying to do because it wasn't his forte. Shooting too many 3-pointers, not forcing things down at the blocks, not getting rebounds. Last night, he had about as good a stat line for himself as you can have on 24 points. He only played 22 minutes, 24 points. He was 11 of 17. He had 7 rebounds on the night. He only took 2 3-pointers, which is probably too many, but he hit one of them. But what a great night by Justin Smith. He gave them exactly what they need down low in that front court from him.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, he is, and it's not just what they need; it's what they're going to have. He's going to have to be, the Juwan Morgan of the past. He's going to have to be that guy that gets those rebounds that only a super athletic guy that's trying really hard can get. And I think Indiana fans are lucky enough and became accustomed to being able to see Juwan Morgan do that all the time, and that's going to need to be what Justin Smith does. I think at times, and I even backed off of it a little bit last year, in getting on him about shooting so many 3-pointers. I don't want him shooting a lot of 3-pointers. He is capable of making it. So I also don't want him to never shoot another one again, but I'm hoping that he learns a little bit better, what the right timing of a shot is and when it's the right time for him to go ahead and take a 3-pointer. And, the very first one he took last night was the complete opposite of that. I mean, there was one pass in the offense, and I think only 6 or 7 seconds had gone off the shot clock, and he caught the ball and chucked it up for a 3. And, that's to me, that was scary because that's him not having learned, through game film and through just the basketball IQ and understanding of what's a good shot and what's not a good shot and timing and all the things that go into it. And, that's something that hopefully he'll continue to learn. And hopefully he just starts making 60% of them and we can all shut up and let him shoot as many of them as he wants. But what they need out of Justin Smith, I think, is what they got last night. And I hope that continues and it only improves. I mean, I think 7 rebounds for him should easily be an average. I don't think that should be a high water mark. I think he's a 9 to 11 rebound guy. That's when he gets that, I think Indiana coaching staff will be pretty pleased with him.
The one thing I've seen in these first 2 games, the exhibition game and this opening game against Western Illinois, is Indiana has done a much, much better job self-policing themselves, taking that 3-point shot, knowing that they have not been a good 3-point shooting team. Last night, they only attempted 11 of them. In the first game, it was 10. To me, that's a very manageable number. Only 6 players attempted shots last night. Half of those came from Al Durham, and he hit all of them. That is the kind of night that you want to have because they get a lot more efficient scoring from the 2-point version, and they still scored 98 points on the night.
You're saying self-policing. Does that mean we self-policed ourselves when Coach Knight was screaming and yelling at us over on the sideline?
That's a different scenario.
I'm not necessarily sure it was self-policing as much as they knew the ramifications if they started chucking them up, like happened so many times last year. But yeah, I mean, I think at least in the exhibition game and this first game of the season, I think we can definitely see they have addressed the fact of standing out there chucking up 3-pointers is not going to be this team's MO. And but I truly do believe that they'll work it in slowly and get to the point where they get up to closer to 20 3-point shots in a game. I think you said they've only had 10 and 11 in the first 2 ball games so far, total attempts. But I think that'll get up closer to 20 by the time they get into late December and Big Ten season. But that's a number that doesn't scare you. I mean, 23 pointers is attempted is not. That's not crazy. Now they get up to 25 plus to 30. That's great. That gets out of control for them, and they're not that kind of team.
I don't know if you got a chance to listen to you on the drive home to the other games last night. Of course, the Kansas and Duke played. Kansas had 18 turnovers in the first half.
In the first
of that
half,
game.
I know.
And they were only down like 3. That's crazy.
Yeah, that was a game. That was a game that you could tell was early in the year. I kind of had one eye on that game as the IU game was going on, and no one looked comfortable out there. No one really got in a rhythm. A guy would hit a shot here and there, but no, they just didn't look real comfortable out there on the floor. Now, there's some amazing, gigantic athletes out there on the floor, and they're playing against a little different competition than what Indiana played against last night. But all in all, that those teams, they didn't take care of the basketball. I didn't think on either end they really took care of the basketball very well. And, but that's something that early in the season, you and I both know those games have been hyped up for a long time. It's the 1, 2, 3, and 4 teams in the country all playing the first game of the year. What a cool event in Madison Square Garden. So those guys, I mean, they won't continue to make 18 turnovers a half, but they're definitely a team that's going to try to run a lot more than an Indiana will. They're going to average more turnovers than a team like Indiana will.
Yeah, and the other game saw number 1 Michigan State taking their first ever preseason number 1 ranking into a game against Kentucky last night. It was ranked number 2. The Wildcats win that game. Michigan State just couldn't hit from outside last night. And, man, Tyreek Maxey for Kentucky, he's a freak, freshman at 26 points. He hit a shot right around a minute to go that was beyond NBA three-pointer, and it was just a dagger, and it really just kind of sealed that win for the Wildcats.
Yeah, I mean, that kid is that's one of the typical one-and-dones for Kentucky. Like, he will be, a top 5 pick. He's like a De'Aaron Fox kid they had a few years ago. He's one of those special type guard players that, college basketball, unfortunately, won't get to see for very long. But, yeah, he had a special performance last night. And, watching them watching that brand of basketball, it's different. It's interesting having all those young guys running up and down the court and being so young. And that's the brand that Kentucky has put themselves in and where they want to be. Sorry, starting my car.
It's all right. One thing that cracks me up
what's that?
There's one thing that cracks me up. There's been a lot of people commenting on Keon Brooks. Look at him sitting on the bench or he's coming in. Keon Brooks was playing in that game last night in Madison Square Garden for the number 2 team in the nation against the number 1 team in the nation, and they won a big game. I'm pretty sure he's happy where he is, and I see a lot of IU fans, though, kind of saying, oh, he should have come to IU. He would be a starter. I think he's pretty happy where he is.
Yeah. Here's the thing with that. If a kid – you go through the recruiting process, and just because a kid selects another school and another program, I mean, there's a lot of things that are involved in making that selection. And it's kind of how you fit in, and it's kind of how your game is, and how your game fits the coaching staff, and, what they've done in the past. And there's so many different factors that go into it. Because a kid doesn't select Indiana, it doesn't mean he doesn't like Indiana or love Indiana or love Purdue or Michigan or anywhere else. He picked the school that he thinks fits him the best. And I don't hold grudges against things like that. I would rather him pick that now than come here for a year and, kind of struggle and not be happy and then leave and, have a mediocre year and, the team not gel together. I think watching, you and I talked about it last night. I mean, we're able to talk about Al Durham and Justin Smith and Rob Finney. And, we didn't even talk a whole lot about Trace Jackson-Davis having a great first basketball game in your career. We're able to talk about all these different players, as opposed to if Keon Brooks had gone to Indiana, it would have been a much like, the Romeo situation, where at the end of that game last night, the first thing they would have done was look at Keon Brooks' name and then go across the stat line and see what he did. As opposed to last night, you look at the numbers that are on there and you see, oh my gosh, 24. Oh, Justin Smith had a great game. Oh my gosh, 21. Al Durham had a great game. And you look at the numbers and see how the numbers added up, as opposed to looking at an individual player and how that player, how that player did in relation to Indiana versus how Indiana did, with that player on the floor. And so, I think it's kind of silly. It's kind of immature for fans to look at situations like that and be mad at a kid for going somewhere or not root for the kid, if nothing else. I mean, I don't root for Kentucky, so that's never going to happen. But I definitely don't root against Keon Brooks or any kid that just doesn't choose to go to Indiana because he thinks there's a better situation out there for him. Now, I'd be the first one to tell you I'm not ever rooting for Kentucky to win. So I'm in some regard not rooting for him, but I don't root against the kid individually. That's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we got another big weekend coming up. Indiana It's their second game of the season, Saturday at 2 o'clock as they host Portland State. Afterwards, of course, we'll be back out at the Tap on the square in Bloomington for the after the game with Todd Lurie, the IU basketball postgame show. Feel free to join us out there. But looking forward to round 2, man.
Yeah, no, it's. I'm really looking forward to it again. We want to give a great, big, giant thank you to the people at the Tap last night. I know Chris and Nathan and Adrian and Wes, all the managers and owners out there, just sure made us feel welcome, and we were excited to be there. I know I'm excited to be there Saturday night, and that company's got a lot of good things going on. Finney's got a lot of good things going on for them right now, so it's exciting to see and us be a little tiny part of what they've got going on.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, man. Todd, I hope you have a great rest of the day, and we'll look forward to doing it again on Friday.
Thank you, buddy. See you.
You bet. There's the Toddfather, Todd Leary, joining us here on this Wednesday Hump Day edition. We've got a lot more coming up. Matt Weaver from Peegs.com is going to join us next. Of course, we're going to be talking about the Michael Penix situation as well as everything else IU football. Stay tuned. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Wednesday, November 6th. That's the Dream Weaver. You know what that means. Our friend Matt Weaver joining us from Peaks.com. Matt, how are you doing, brother?
I'm doing okay. How are you guys?
We're here, man. We're here the day after the opening of college basketball. Some bad news. It's straight up bad. There's no way to just cut it, sugarcoat it. Bad news for Indiana football as they lose Michael Penix for the season after that injury he suffered last week. I mean, obviously it could be worse, but it just sucks to see this kid lose another season due to injury.
Yeah, it is. It's a tough break, especially when you finally got to see what we all kind of seen on the practice field ever since he arrived at IU, and the fans got to see it in the game, and what kind of difference he can make with his ability to throw the football, and what it did for the offense, But Coach, offensive coordinator Kayla DeBoer has shown this season that the offense can be just as effective with Peyton Ramsey. It's different. I mean, it's some of the things they do is going to be different, but they've been just as effective. And then Peyton Ramsey's really played well. And I think what's so great about Coach DeBoer is he doesn't need to have certain guys to run his offense. He can adjust his scheme to the players and the personnel and still try to figure out ways to move the ball and score points on people. And obviously the next two games are going to be tough, regardless of who the quarterback is. At Penn State and then Michigan at home, two really good defenses with a lot of talent. But it is a blow. There's no, like you said, there's no way to sugarcoat it. But this team's got 7 wins. They still got a lot to play for, and I still think you're going to see a lot of good football from them.
Absolutely, and I guess if there's a silver lining, it's better that this announcement or this news comes now. Peyton Ramsey gets to take all the number 1 snaps for 2 full weeks leading up to that Penn State game, that big game coming up in Happy Valley. So he gets all those reps, which will help him even more, especially. And he seems really to have gotten into a good flow, even though he's only played half the season. He's in a really good flow with this offense.
Yeah, no doubt about it, and not only get him those reps, but obviously you're going to have to get Jack Tuttle ready too. And he now moves into that backup role. And, we saw it in fall camp. He's got a lot of talent. Just, he was a guy that seemed like mentally he was kind of struggling. Now that was, it was obviously, about 3 months ago since we were last on the practice field. So, I'm going to assume that he's improved in that area. We've seen him a little bit this season, but really in mop-up time, not, it's hard to get a good gauge when a guy's coming in and just kind of handing the ball off and maybe throwing a few throws here and there, but the talent's there, and he's 1 snap away. Hopefully, Peyton Ramsey stays healthy, but we've seen it at Indiana. Guys go down, quarterbacks. You see it all across the country, not just Indiana. It's a physical sport. Guys get hurt, and the next guy's got to be ready. But I think with Peyton Ramsey at quarterback, this team is gonna rally behind him, and obviously he's incredibly well respected and a great teammate, and he works hard and does everything right, and he's played really, really well this year, and so. Like I said, I don't think they're going to miss a beat. The next 2 games aren't going to be easy, but, I think this team's going to go out and compete and have a chance to win these last 3 games.
Yeah, and I'm sure the defense doesn't mind seeing Peyton Ramsey out there because at least it seems like when he's out there running the offense, they're a lot more slower and methodical about their drives. With Michael Penix in there, they're just so damn fast. They score so quickly. But Peyton, it takes a little longer, and it takes a lot of time off the clock. He's led some really time-consuming drives this season.
Yeah, and I think that's another great point about Coach DeBoer's offense. He can play at different speeds. Sometimes tempo. Everybody thinks tempo means you're playing fast. No, sometimes tempo is you slow it down. You're still controlling the tempo. You're still controlling the flow of the game. You're just doing it at your speed. And sometimes you slow it down because that works better for you. And sometimes you speed it up. So, I think you'll probably still see both with Peyton Ramsey. Probably, like you said, maybe not as much speed and faster tempo as you saw when they had Michael Penix and they did some things differently. But it's the offense is it's just he's done a great job. Coach DeBoer has. The play calling has been terrific. I'm sure there's some he'd like to have back. All play callers have those, but man, 30 points in every game but one. And that, like I said, that team that's an outlier. Ohio State is so good this year. They're going to hold most teams to probably to under 20, let alone under 30. So. Been a terrific season. He's been worth every penny that they had to spend to get him, and probably quite a few more.
One other thing I mentioned that may be something going in Indiana's favor. They're on the bye this week, but while they're on the bye, Penn State is preparing to play a big game with Minnesota. Both teams 8-0, and then they have Indiana come in. Then after that, I believe is the week they play Ohio State, if I'm correct, and then Indiana moves on to Michigan, and Michigan has Michigan State and Ohio State banked around their game with Indiana. So you've got some big games coming up, but both of those teams that they're playing have big games on both sides of their Indiana week.
Yeah, it's Indiana definitely would be the trap game. I think you put it perfectly. They would be the trap game for both these teams. And after the Minnesota game this week up there for Penn State, they come home and play IU, and then they go on the road to Ohio State, and then with Michigan, they'll have Michigan State the week that Indiana's playing Penn State, and then they come to IU, and then the following week they've got their rival game with Ohio State. So, could they overlook them? Sure, they could. I know Indiana's the one thing that's going to probably keep their focus a little bit is Indiana's playing good football. I mean, they're 7-2, or they'll be 7-2 when they go into to Happy Valley to play Penn State, and whatever their record is, whether it's 7-3 or 8-2. Michigan's going to know that. And plus, Indiana, the last few years, wherever they played Michigan, they played them tough. And especially in Bloomington, the last two games, or at least a couple years ago, they had them, that overtime game, they had them on the ropes. And so they know that they're going to have to play well. And obviously Indiana offensively is, I think a far superior team this year than they've been the last couple of years for sure. So regardless of who the quarterback's been. And so, Michigan knows that they're going to have to play well to win Indiana. Obviously, Indiana's going to have to play really well to beat them, but these are games that if you're the coaches of those schools, you're probably a little bit worried because your guys may kind of overlook it because it's Indiana and not a bigger name school.
Yeah, all three of these last remaining games at Penn State, home against Michigan, at Purdue, all three of those games to me are going to come down to the Indiana's defense. I'm not concerned about their offense. I've seen what this offense can do with or without Michael Penix. With Peyton Ramsey in, I've seen what he can do at Nebraska. So that's not a concern to me. It's how this defense can perform on the road at Penn State and against a Michigan team that has been kind of a resurgent offensively.
Yeah, and you know what encourages me, or kind of has you optimistic, is I think the defense has really made strides. And I mean, I know they had some games earlier in the year, and the Michigan State game comes to mind where they had and really they didn't play horrible at Michigan State game. They just had some breakdowns that really cost them inopportune times. But I asked the question to Coach Allen after the game on Saturday night. They've only given up 33 points in the fourth quarter all year, and 6 of those came on that last play against Michigan State when they were lateral the ball, and it was actually the offense, and Michigan State recovered the fumble in the end zone. I mean, 27 points in 9 games in the fourth quarter from an Indiana defense is pretty good. And, obviously they've had some games where the teams haven't been, obviously high caliber, but the bottom line is this defense has got better. The other thing that I've really noticed is if they have a kind of a rough first half or they give up some stuff in the first half, they've done a great job adjusting in the second half. It happened at Maryland, and then it happened again at Nebraska, where second half the defense really played a lot better, and that's encouraging that you see a staff that they go in, they realize what's not working, what's working, they get it fixed, and they play a lot better in the second half. And obviously they're going to have to do that these next 3 weeks, and especially the next 2 weeks with teams that defensively are both really, really good, because you can't let them get too far ahead or you're going to be in big trouble. So I think defensively they've really made strides. This is a young group that's really getting confidence, and guys like Tywan Mullen and some of these other young guys, Marcus Elliott's been playing really well, and Cam Jones and all these guys on defense. It's been fun to watch.
Yeah, and the college football poll came out yesterday, the first one of the season. Number 1, of course, Ohio State, a little surprising to some people, but Penn State, number 4. So Big Ten has 4 teams in there right now. I think the biggest surprise for a lot of people was looking at Minnesota sitting way down there at 17, not because they're at 17th, but because of who's in front of them. There are like a half a dozen 2-loss teams in front of Minnesota, so the committee obviously does not have a lot of respect for the schedule the Golden Gophers have played thus far.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think they looked at the schedule and early on, remember, even though they won some games, they had some tight games against, like non-power 5 teams, and they had and they pulled them out. Give them credit. They got the wins, but they weren't. Some of the earlier wins weren't the most impressive, in the most impressive fashion possible. So, but I think Minnesota's a quality team. We're going to find out how good the next few weeks, because I think they got Penn State, and I think they also still got Wisconsin, Iowa, or Iowa, Wisconsin, can't remember the order. But we're going to find out. I think them staying undefeated is probably, it's going to be difficult. But hey, they got Penn State at home. Weather could be a factor. They can run the ball. That could be an interesting game on Saturday, and you see what happens there. But give PJ Fleck credit. They you can only play the teams that are on your schedule, and they've beaten all those teams, and they've had a heck of a year. And obviously, he got rewarded handsomely yesterday with the new contract extension there up in Minnesota. So, but I think I didn't expect them to be real high, but I thought 17 was a bit low. But I think it's one of those things where the committee, by the eye test and the schedule, that's where they put them.
Yeah, if they win out, I don't think they have. I know people are upset, but they don't have a problem. If they win out and they win the Big Ten title, they're going to be in the top 4. There's no doubt. So I don't think that they need to worry about that. Ohio State, the first year that they did the college football poll, they were number 16 in the first poll, and they ended up winning the national championship. So it's not like they're too far out of this thing.
No, exactly, and obviously, because if you beat Penn State, you beat Wisconsin, you beat Iowa, you go to the Big Ten championship, and you beat either Ohio State or Penn State. It looks like it's going to be most likely. You beat one of those teams, because when they're one of those teams, almost for sure. Well, Penn State would be a one-loss team if they made it, because they lost to Minnesota. But if you beat Penn State twice, or you beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, you're going to be in the playoff. And what an incredible story that would be if that happened. I mean, you talk about coming out of nowhere. That would be something else. They were 12-13 in PJ Fleck's first 2 years. I mean, they were solid, but nothing spectacular. But like I said, give them credit. They played really well, and him and his staff have done a good job. And they've got the opportunity. And that's all you can ask for.
I want to quickly bring up something. I've avoided this because I thought it's been a non-story, but there's been a few mentions of with the Florida State job opening, because of the success Tom Allen has had recruiting the state of Florida. People have just not very many people, but his name has been mentioned. But I think this is a non-story for a couple of reasons. Number one, I don't see Tom Allen leaving this program right now, especially with the commitment he's made to these kids and the commitment these kids have made to him. Number one. Number two, I think he wants to be here. And number three, I don't think Florida State is looking at him at all anyway. They made a mistake hiring a guy off of 1 year success in Willie Taggart, and that's going to cost him $18 million to get out of that problem. I don't see them doing that again.
No, and I agree with you. And a couple of reasons why. I've heard some people say, well, Florida State could get Tom Allen for a better price than some other coaches. You don't pay a guy $17 million to go away to go cheap on the next hire. If you're going to pay $17 million to get rid of a coach, you're all in on spending money to try to win. And, so to me, that's the first factor, if that's even something. But then I think you'll see, they're going to go for, you've seen Bob Stoops mentioned. I think they're going to try to get a guy, either they're going to try to get a guy that's been a proven winner like a Bob Stoops or somebody like that, or they're going to, if that doesn't work, you maybe see them go for like a guy who's really got an offensive background. I mean, I've seen like Mike Norvell, from Memphis, who's done a great job. I think it's Mike Norvell. Then there's two of them. One's at Nevada, but somebody like that. You see some other names thrown around. I mean, you see like a Matt Campbell from Iowa State if they go that route. Here's the thing. To me, if Tom Allen had 3 years in a row where he had won 7 or 8 games, I think you could sell it to your fans at Florida State. I don't think you can sell the Indiana football coach at Florida State after one winning season. I just don't think you can do that. I mean, if you're the administration down there, you pulled the cord awful early on Willie Taggart. Whether it's the right decision or not, people can debate that. But the bottom line is it was 21 games, and you're paying him a truckload of money to go away. So to me, I think you've got to try to do, and not that I think Tom Allen would do a great job at Florida State. I think his recruiting ties, and I think he's proven that. But I think they need to go for a guy that has more of a track record, either of success, or is one of these really up and comers that's got a really dynamic offense that's going to kind of get you rolling. So it looks to me like it could be Bob Stoops. I know it was kind of premature, the report, but somebody like that, or, like I said, a coach that has a little bit more track record of success as far as wins and losses. But I think Tom Allen, I think we'll probably see. I know there's been a report. I think we'll see him getting a new contract, whether it's a rework contract or an extended contract here pretty soon from Indiana, and hopefully he's paid fair market value because he's like 63rd in the country. There's non-Power 5 coaches making more than him. He's dead last in the Big Ten, and he I don't think it's a big deal for Tom Allen so much, but I think he deserves to be paid. What he's as far as what he's done for this football program.
I think there's no doubt that deal's coming sooner rather than later. And Fred Glass has made no bones about it. He knows that that's coming, and he's acknowledged that. So, yeah, that should be happening soon. One last thing I want to bring up. We both kind of a point of aggravation for us at the last game, but it's been going all season. The fans at Indiana games, especially students, leaving at halftime, no matter who they're playing, what's going on, and it just they can't. I don't understand why these people cannot support this team because all the things that people have complained about in the past, they're gone. You got beer and wine in the stadium. You got a winning team. You got an exciting team. You got a fun team and a team that's heading to a good bowl game. So I don't understand why these people can't sit their butts in these seats a little longer.
Yeah, I agree. And I'll give the students, for the Saturday, I'll give them partial credit because they showed up early. But, I could get it if Indiana was down 24-3 at half and they just laid a gigantic egg and just, were terrible. But they were up 24-3. And Northwestern's, 1-6, whatever they were. I get it. But they're doing what you're supposed to do to a 1-6 team. They're dominating them. That was a dominating performance. To me, it might have been their best all-around performance of the season, especially defensively. And I know Northwestern's bad offensively, but they completely dominated Northwestern like they were, and almost like an FCS team. And, yeah, I don't get it. And, one thing, IU fans, a lot of IU fans, maybe not all, I shouldn't do that, but a lot of IU fans like to use Purdue as a comparison, whether it be teams or fan base or whatever. Purdue's fans, when it comes to supporting the football program, blow Indiana out of the water. They had 40-something thousand, which is not a great crowd, but they're a 2-6 team for a noon game against Nebraska on Saturday. If that would have been Purdue Saturday night, 6-2 against Northwestern, their place would have been packed. Mark it down. They've done it in the past. They get behind their team, and Indiana fans should honestly be ashamed that they can't do the same because this is a good football program. It's going up, and the staff's doing a great job. The players are playing well. And they got a lot of young talent, and it's just disappointing that people can't do a better job of supporting the program. I don't get it. And, the next time I see, an IU fan criticizing Purdue's fan base, I just shake my head because, hey, they do a lot of, I know the chant and all that, the IU sucks chant, I get it. But the bottom line is they show up. They do. And they've gotten behind Jeff Brom in that program, and it's made a big difference. And it helps in recruiting. It really does. When you bring recruits on and they see that atmosphere, it is a big deal. It's a big deal. It really does help. There's a lot of other factors that go into recruiting, but that is one of them. And I'm not trying to just make this an IU Purdue thing, but IU fans like to use that as a basis for comparison. So if you are, boy, you got a lot of work to do to catch up to them.
Couldn't agree more, Matt. I know it's a bye week, so are you working on anything? I know there's a lot of recruits things going on and stuff you're always working on.
Yeah, I posted on our board. There's a Florida State commit. We were just talking about Willie Taggart. Florida State commit Alex Atkavich. He's actually from Pennsylvania. Plays at IMG Academy down in Florida. From Honesdale, Pennsylvania, a little small town way up in northeastern Pennsylvania, almost at the New York state line, North New York border. And he's visiting unofficially for the Michigan game and taking an official visit the weekend of December 6th. He was at IU back in the spring, I think. Was kind of lightly recruited, went to IMG and kind of blew up, and Indiana's in really good position with him. So have a story on him this week. I've actually been talking to Alex for quite a while. It was he's been pretty open about his recruitment, but it was under the condition of confidentiality. So I didn't mention anything until he gave me the okay, and he gave me the okay this week. So I've been reporting about it, and I'll have a story on him. So that's a big one. And then I'm going to have some news this week on a 4-star DB from South Florida that tells me he's visiting officially on the weekend of December 6th. So safety, big-time guy. So people look forward to that too.
Matt Weaver from Peegs.com. That's where you can find all that information. Matthew, I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you so much.
Take care. You guys have a good week.
You bet. There's Matt Weaver. Hey, we've got a lot more coming up on Indiana Sports Beat. Stay tuned. We'll be back with all that and more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
I believe you can get me
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Pound cocaine, case Jones bit. Watch your speed.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Hump Day edition, November 6th. Middle of the week, day after the opening of college basketball last night. Some great games. Michigan State took a number one ranking into Madison Square Garden against Kentucky, and they're not leaving with that number one ranking. Man, that Tyrese Maxey, that dude is bad to the bone. Freshman. He's going to be a one and done. He came off the bench to score 26 points in that game last night. Man, he hit a shot with about a minute to go from behind the NBA three-point line, and just he was backing away when he shot it. Like, he knew that thing was going down, and it was a dagger that probably helped seal the win for Kentucky over Michigan State last night. But glad to see college basketball back. Indiana football, of course, off on a bye week this week. Lots going on, as yesterday it was announced that Michael Penix will miss the remainder of the season. Let's say if you go back and watch that game, about 3 plays, the last 3 plays of which he was involved in, that third to last, he gets driven into the ground on that right side shoulder, and that's the side that he injured. It's not his throwing side, but yeah, there are a lot of questions too. People have asked, why design runs for a guy that's been kind of injury prone, and I think that's a valid question. I mean, you want your quarterback to be able to do the things that he needs to do to be a football player, first of all. So it's not. I'm not blaming anybody, because you can't just sit him back there and treat him like a China doll. unfortunately. But he did run 2 times in that series, and I do wonder a little bit, man. Just hand it off to Stevie Scott. Let him throw the ball. He's too valuable, in other words. But anyway, that ship has sailed. Peyton Ramsey will be the quarterback from here out for the rest of the season. Indiana taking on Penn State in their next game after the bye week, while Penn State is right now preparing for a big game on the road at Minnesota. So we'll see how that works out. Looking forward to seeing how Indiana's season finishes out. I think they're going to be just fine regardless, because it's the defense that's going to have to step up in these next couple of games, in my opinion. I'm not worried about the offense one bit. Indiana won big last night, 98-65 over Western Illinois. Todd Leary was on with us earlier. We talked extensively about that. Great game by the Hoosiers. Great performances by a lot of guys. And that's exactly what they need. It's exactly what they didn't get last year. This was a team win. This was a team that played like a team. You had guys doing everything. You have a freshman getting 8 assists. Armand Franklin, what an outstanding night for that young man. Justin Smith, who did what he normally doesn't do. He stayed within his game. He didn't try to force things. He didn't take 5, 6, 7 3-pointers. He's kept his butt down on the blocks and did a great job. He was 10 of 15 from the field inside the 3-point line. He scored 24 points to tie a career high. That's at 7 rebounds. So that is an outstanding night from that guy. Al Durham stole the show. Man, he had a perfect night. Didn't miss a shot. And if you can get shooting and scoring like that from him, they're going to be in great shape. Rob Finney in a limited role. He also scored 14 points. You talk about efficient, man. That it was a good look. That was you had to come away thinking, okay, this is the first game. That's a good look. They looked good. They looked cohesive, and they were playing team basketball, which is something we just didn't see a lot last year. So that can go a great distance in allowing this team to have a lot more success than some people think that they might be heading toward this year. College football playoff poll is out, of course. Ohio State, number 1. Penn State, number 4. Minnesota, 17. LSU, Alabama in there as well in the top 4. All 4 of those teams will be playing each other pretty soon. So looking forward to a lot of great football games coming up. Indiana's next basketball game is Saturday against Portland State at home in the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. That game's at 2 p.m. For those of you that joined us last night on the postgame show with Todd Leary, we appreciate it. It was a great time out at the Tap. Enjoyable. We'll be back there on Saturday for round 2 of that game. Postgame show there before we move to our permanent home that we'll be announcing next week. Oh, my gosh, we're excited to make that announcement. 2 additional announcements coming, gigantic announcements, big for the show. Teasing. We're teasing. But some big time stuff coming soon, man. So looking forward to announcing that here in the next week or so. Lots of exciting things coming this way. Tomorrow, we normally do the reporter segment. I'm probably going to change it up a little bit tomorrow because of the bye week. I'm planning to still have Dustin Schutte on from Saturday Tradition. I may bring him on for an entire segment so we can talk about this college football playoff, the Big Ten, what their situation is, Indiana with Michael Penix not going forward and just being Peyton Ramsey, and Indiana's season overall and where their potential bowl aspirations, where they possibly might land. Tom Allen, you heard Matt Weaver was on with us in the last segment as well. We talked about PJ Fleck just got him a nice contract extension in Minnesota after a job well done, and that same thing will be happening to Tom Allen here shortly. That was already coming. It was coming before the few mentions about this Florida State thing, which have never been real. That has never been real. Let's be clear about that. That you never heard that coming out of Tallahassee or anything or anywhere close related to them. So, but you see that a lot. Sometimes agents do that. Sometimes people, whatever reason, do it. But it helps get people raises. Tom Allen doesn't need that to get a raise. I promise you, Fred Glass has already been working on that very thing. He's talked about it openly. He knows that it's coming. Tom Allen is the least paid coach in the Big Ten, one of the worst in the country, around 70th. And Fred Glass knew that was coming. And he's been open about it, so that's not a big deal. And Tom Allen's not concerned about that. He's concerned about what he's doing, and that's putting a great product on the field for Indiana football. And he has done that, and he continues to do that. One thing that he does deserve is fan support. I got to be honest with you. Indiana has one of the worst football fan bases in the country. Their support is terrible. The people that are there, that's great, and there is a core group that are pretty loyal, and they do an outstanding job of coming to the games and staying for the games past halftime. The students do a good job of showing up, but I'm really thinking that they show up just to get these stupid points for the student athletic board or whatever that is. How does that work, Jake? You were a student a lot more recently than I was. I don't remember doing any of that stuff when I was in school.
That's pretty recent. We didn't have that whenever I was in school either.
The students get points for attending athletic events, school events, and I think it helps them get better seats. I'm not sure what else other the promotions are, but they're showing up, getting credit, and leaving. And they're going to have to switch to a deal. I think it's Alabama. They know when a student leaves. You have to check in at the stadium when you're there, and you have to check in when you leave. If you're leaving at halftime, I don't think you deserve any points. I mean, it's ridiculous. You just heard Matt Weaver talking earlier that, you look at a Purdue team that's won 2 daggone games, and they're outdrawing Indiana against lesser opponents. I mean, Indiana brings in Ohio State. It's not sold out. You have a game in which they were really trying to pump up a crowd against Northwestern. It was a better crowd, but still, people leaving at halftime, it's just why? Why can't they? I don't understand why people cannot support a quality product, people that are working hard, doing a great job, and being successful for that school. So hopefully they get that worked out. It's just sad to see. Tim says maybe you should lower the drinking age in the stadium. I don't think that would help. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. But also, is Reese Taylor the only other player that ever played quarterback? No, I doubt that very seriously. I'm sure you have a plethora of ex-quarterbacks on that football team, because usually in football, half the people don't play the position in college that they played in high school. Also, hope Ramsey does not get hurt, but if something happened, do we have another quarterback besides Tuttle? No, that's a good question. I'm sure they at this stage, they've gone to a backup plan. There's another. Yeah, there are other quarterbacks on the roster, no doubt. They just haven't been talked about. I don't have the roster list in front of me, but there are other quarterbacks on the roster. If you watch during pregame warmups, you'll see the quarterbacks throwing, and there's usually about 5 of them. Now there's probably going to be about 4 without Michael Penix, but there's probably 4 quarterbacks out there throwing in pregame. So they have them, but the thing is, those guys don't get reps. They get reps on the scout team running scout offense, which means they're running the opposing team's offense and things like that. So they don't have a lot of reps. So let's hope to goodness it doesn't come to that. Getting past Jack Tuttle, that would be a doomsday scenario there, but hopefully that's not going to happen. I don't think so. Peyton Ramsey's been a tough dude, man. That's the funny thing about this. Peyton Ramsey has been a dude. He takes a pounding. He gets hit and just gets up and does it again. So you lose a little bit in the throwing department with him, but you gain a lot also, and his experience still stands out. He made a play at Nebraska that has stood out to me since then. In the waning moments of that game, when they needed a first down, and he scrambles to the right and gets that first down, Whop Phillier was open, and we talked about it afterwards in the post game that he saw Whop, and he said he knew he could probably make that throw, but he knew that he also could probably get that first down running, and in doing so, he would keep the clock running and stay in bounds, which he did that very thing. That's a very heady heads-up play. That's a coach right there inside of a player making that decision in that moment, in that split second with the game on the line. Very smart, and you can't trade that for a lot. So there's trade-offs, but there's also things you're getting in return. So, and again, it doesn't matter. The Indian offense is not a concern from here on out. There's just no concern with that offense. It's the defense and how well they can play in these next 3 games and how well Indiana goes. that's just all there is to that. So looking forward to seeing what they can do against Penn State, Michigan, and Purdue. Man, 9 wins would be incredible, but 8's going to be pretty good too because it hadn't happened a lot. So look at Indiana going through all this turmoil, and they're still probably going to win 8 regular season games, all the while playing in the Big Ten East. So what an outstanding job. If you watch any of the college football shows, like last night, they're talking about the college football playoffs, and they're talking about Ohio State and their wins, a couple of the bigger wins that they have. They mentioned Indiana. They say, hey, don't forget about Indiana. Indiana's 7-2. They said that's a legit team that Ohio State beat. Indiana's getting a lot of ink on the circuit. So congratulations to them in that program, and hope it continues. I hate to see that bumped, but they're just going to keep on rolling, man. It's going to keep on rolling and see what they can get done with it. And hopefully it ends with a great year and a bowl win, the first one since '93. We'll look forward to that. Hey, we got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. We've had a great show already, but we've got Archie Miller yet to hear from more after last night's game, as well as Rob Fennessy, Justin Smith, and Al Durham. Stay tuned. We're back with all that here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Now it's all out and you know.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Never seen you no more. Oh, don't you hear me cry?
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Hump Day edition, November 6th. College basketball is underway. There's more games tonight, I believe. But what's that? Bunch of games on tap tonight. Let's see. What are some of the good ones, man? Notre Dame plays North Carolina. That's a 7 o'clock tip. North Carolina, 10.5-point favorite in that game. Purdue is hosting Green Bay. Ohio State, 6-point favorite over Cincinnati. Number 21, I should have given the rankings. North Carolina's number 9. Purdue's 23rd. Ohio State, number 18, they're hosting Cincinnati. Number 21, Arizona, hosting Northern Arizona. Number 11, Virginia is at Syracuse. I'm sure there's a lot more. Let me see. Let me get all Division I. Any other really good games I'm looking to see? I don't see anything jumping out at me just yet, but there are a ton of games on the schedule tonight, man. Gee whiz. Charlotte, James Madison, those are some smaller time. Oklahoma State. Don't see anything big. I don't see any big games that are jumping out at me other than the ones I listed with the ranked teams playing. Even you can go as late as 11 o'clock tonight. This is like a football Saturday. Long Beach State is at UCLA. That's 11 o'clock Eastern time. So you could be watching games till 1 in the morning easily if you wanted to, if you had that kind of time, if someone had that kind of time on their hands. Well, college basketball's here, man. It's a great thing. It just the only bad thing is it becomes a busy time of season for us. College basketball is underway. College football, obviously, in the throes of things, is heading to the back half of the season here, heading down towards determining playoffs and bowl teams and all that good stuff. Indiana's in a tremendous shape as far as their bowl. I just think that they look so strong at winning at least 8 games. And I'm not saying that they can't upset Penn State or Michigan. The Penn State's going to be a tough ask no matter what. I don't care about the quarterback situation. It has nothing to do with it. That's just a tough ask. Penn State's in the top 4 of the college football playoff poll. Talking about a top team in the country, man. 8-0. They have a big game against Minnesota this week. But Indiana, if they can get 8 wins, man, I think they're going to be a strong, strong pull for the Gator Bowl in Florida with all their Florida connections. I'm sure they would love to have them there. We'll see how that turns out, but looking forward to that. And I'm just happy the college football is here. The college soccer season is still underway now. We're about into tournament time for that, so that's going to get busy as well. You got women's basketball that gets underway. The Hoosiers women's team has a game tomorrow. I think they open their regular season tomorrow night, so we'll be there for that. Go out there and support the Lady Hoosiers playing on the basketball floor. Great team they have, man. They're starting the season off top 25 already, and they're deep. They're like 7-8 deep. I'd say they're 8 players deep of people that could start. I think they have a core of 8 players that you could rotate some starters in and out of. Now, I'm not saying you would never not want to have Ali Patberg out there or probably Brianna Rise or Grace Berger or Jalen Penn, but it's hard to imagine that. But they're so deep. They got some talent, man. And Bendu Yaley's not even been playing here lately, so. But yeah, that's going to be exciting to follow them to see how their season goes. Coach Terry Moore with a great squad put together, looking to have maybe one of the better seasons in Indiana women's basketball history, success-wise. And you've seen them just trend upward over the last few years. You know, it kind of started when Tyra Buss and Amanda Cahill had that nice senior season in which they made the NIT, not only made the NIT, but won the NIT, although that was not the dance. The following year, without those two, Indiana made the NCAA tournament, which was last year. So they actually played in the tournament last year. This year, I think they're going to be they're projected to finish 3rd or 4th in the Big Ten right now. That's going to be a nice solid seed in the Big Ten tournament. I can see them being a 6 seed, maybe a 5, who knows? But that's uncharted territory for Indiana women's basketball. So good luck to them as their season gets underway as well. The men's team obviously had a big game. Well, not a big game, but just opening game last night, in which they won handily 98-65 over Western Illinois, the Leathernecks. Can't say that enough. Love saying that. That's Jake. Jake's our resident Leatherneck. 98-65. Indiana wins with a great performances from Al Durham, from everybody, to be honest with you. Everyone played their role. That's the key thing. Everyone played their role or played a role. And some of those roles were changing. Al Durham, for one, his role went from point guard to 2 guard. He played both positions last night and did them pretty damn well with 21 points on 7 of 7 shooting. Did not miss a shot, 3 of 3 behind the 3-point line and 4 of 4 at the free throw line. So what an incredible night for that dude, man. Overall, free throw shooting, Indiana shot 68%. They were 17 of 25. It's not bad, but they need to clean that up. Justin Smith, if you want to give him one knock on his night, he was 1 of 3 at the free throw line. I think he's usually a decent free throw shooter. So other than that, and you had Deron Davis. He went 2 of 4, 50%. He's about a 50% free throw shooter, but he has to be better. You have to be better than that. There's no excuse for not shooting 70% to me at the D1 level. I'll never think otherwise, unless you're just someone like Shaquille O'Neal who simply can't shoot a basketball and can dunk it only, or a little baby hook or something. But that's not the case for these guys. So that's only a little knock right there. They've got to get that cleaned up. They had a great night rebounding. Of course, they're playing against an inferior team, but still 47 rebounds. That's a lot of grabs, man, especially when 8 of them are coming from that's the assist. That was 8. 7 of them for Justin Smith. That's a good night for him. 6, Trace Jackson-Davis. 7 for Joey Bronk. That's what you want to see. That core group. Race Thompson with 6. There's your four front court players leading the rebounding. That's what you like to see. Guys that are active, grabbing balls, and that's what happened in that game. So that's a great sign for Indiana. On the assist ledger, my gosh, we talked about this ad nauseum. Todd, was really impressed with the fact that Armand Franklin, 8 assists by the freshman in his first game. He got the start, but what a nice stat line he ended up with. So a great job by Indiana last night. Archie Miller spoke to the media afterwards. Let's hear what Archie had to say.
Tom?
Coach, do you look at Justin Smith as one of those barometer guys that when he plays well, you guys play well as a team?
I think so. He's one of our oldest guys. He's played in every single game as a college basketball player at Indiana. I think that's hard to say. There's probably a lot of great players that have played here that early in their career maybe didn't play as much. He's played a lot of minutes. So he changed the game for us in the first half with his defensive intensity. He was able to get out and make some plays, gave us cushion, gave us confidence, gave us some momentum. And that's what older guys do. The most experienced guys play. I look at his numbers and his line, and I'll be honest, I didn't even notice that he scored 24 points. I think at the end of the day, I was just watching, how he approached things there at a certain point in time. Defensively, he was very, very active and made plays for us. So as we keep going here, he's an important cog in our wheel. He's got to stay with it and just keep getting better.
John?
Rob Hennessy, I think you said you had a goal for him in terms of minutes at Gannon. Did you have a goal tonight?
15 to 20 minutes is what he was supposed to play, and he played 17 and a half, so we stuck in there. He did a good job. He's starting to work his way back here a little bit in practice. Hopefully he continues to feel good. We'll see how it goes here in the next 48 hours with his recovery. If all that goes well and he keeps practicing, obviously his role will continue to increase.
You look like a different team with Al Durham out there, versus the exhibition game even. Just speak to his progress. 7 tonight. His shot just looks, so much better.
Al's an important part to what we do. Again, he's an older player. He's a junior now, and he's played a lot of minutes. He's a leader on our team, and minus the 10-day period of time that, obviously, knock on wood, that he was able to recover from a knee contusion. He did the same thing in the Marquette game. He ran our team, played with great tempo, was smart. And again, tonight was able to make some shots, and I think that's a positive sign for his confidence level. But 3 assists, 1 turnover, 4 defensive rebounds. I think he did a nice job, obviously, with our team in terms of leading them. But I think you can tell he's very comfortable right now in how we're playing, and he's got to stay with it. And I think that as we get some other guys around him and continue to get a little bit more experience, he'll have some help at the guard slot for sure.
Zach?
To kind of go back to Justin, I know he's, as you talked about, one of your more experienced guys, a guy who's played a lot, but How much more do you feel you can put on him at both ends of the floor this season? He just looks more comfortable in what works in his game, especially in maybe turning defense into offense.
Well, I think defensively, him being able to move around the floor is very important. He turned into a very, very solid defender for us last year. When engaged and when really locked in, can be an elite defender. He's shown that. He defended bigger players last year. Now he's defending both. So it's a new challenge for him, depending on the perimeter and the post. He can defend, multiple positions. So defensively, he's a very, very key cog in what we're doing, depending on how we're playing and who we're playing. Offensively, he's got to get around the basket. He's got to use his talents in the open floor, and I think that's what you're seeing right now. He's a much more confident player because of the way I think he's out in lanes and he's able to get around the basket different ways. But I think the big thing for him is to be engaged on what we're asking him to do. And I thought tonight he did a good job stepping up and making an impact in ways that a lot of guys didn't see. Just in terms of, it wasn't about a 3-point shot that went in. It was much more about him changing the game with his effort level.
They were up 3 about midway through the first half, and I think you guys were on something like 16-18-0 run over a 4-minute stretch. It seemed like it was a pretty good lineup out there that was doing some good things. What did you like about that?
Quicker lineup, Trace and Justin together with, I'm not sure who in particular was at the guard slot. It may have been Al, maybe even Rob at the time, but you had 3 veteran guys, and then you had your quickest lineup out there defensively. We weren't applying any heat defensively there in the first 6 to 8 minutes. It was very, very methodical. They were able to do what they want. We started to challenge some passing lanes. We were able to get some deflections. We got out in transition, got a cushion, and that lineup having some quickness to it, I thought helped.
Ken.
Coach, you had new guys from every level, whether it's true freshmen, Trace and Armand, or Joey Bronk, or Jerome Hunter. Just your thoughts on how that group played and how they could really take this team to the next step.
They just got to get more experience. I think Trace is playing within himself right now. He's doing a really good job of just being, himself. I think, there's going to have games where he's got bigger game scoring and whatnot, but he's content with being a great teammate right now, which is good. Joey feeling himself out, a little bit offensively early, was a little uncertain, how to attack it, got more comfortable as the game goes, and I think as the games continue to play, he'll get more experience level with what we're doing. He hasn't played with any of these guys before, so it's the first time. Armand, I thought offensively, again, 8 assists, 0 turnovers, very smooth. Didn't score as much tonight, which at the end of the day is going to happen, but 8 assists was really, really big for Armand, and we just got all of them. They just got to get more experience. They got to get more game experience, more toughness into what they're doing in terms of how we have to do it, because I think all 3 will really, all 3 obviously right now are big impact guys in terms of adding new weapons to the fold. I mean, all 3 guys can do a lot of different things for us.
And how about Jerome?
Jerome did a nice job tonight. I got 16 minutes, which is about where he's at right now. Jerome's gifted offensively. He was able to get around the basket a little bit more on the second half like he did in our first game. But he can get going from the outside, and he did a good job. I thought, first and second half, both times. Jerome's good. Jerome's basically a true freshman. I mean, he's playing his first college game today, so to be able to get out there is probably a relief for him. Now he can continue to bowl. It's not like he's got this wealth of experience. I mean, you got a brand new guy out there in him as well. So, with him, Trace, and Armand, you got 3 really just true freshmen. And Demise's experience level is much improved. I think you can tell in that he's a lot more solid. But again, he needs more reps as well.
The ball movement in general, 18 assists, 11 turnovers. How would you assess, and how important is that going to be kind of going forward, sharing the ball?
It's a big part going forward. I mean, our ball movement's got to move. The ball's got to move. The player's got to move. And in the first half, it's always a feel-it-out process. You're always gauging how the team is going to guard you. I thought they sat back. They packed it in. They kind of wanted us to pass it around the perimeter a little bit. And we were unsure just in our movement. Second half, we were much more aggressive. Ball movement, quickness, cutting. Our post guys were better in getting it a little bit tighter where we didn't have to deal with as much crowded on the floor. We had some plays where we were a little too cute. I'd say out of our 11 turnovers, 4 or 5 of them, 3 or 4 of them were just trying to be cute. You had some plays that you don't need to make, and we'll get those out of our system here moving forward. But 11 turnovers, that's the one you look at, with our team. You can't turn the ball over with this group. And, being able to have 4 at half, probably had a couple too many in the second half. 18 assists was good. Our perimeter players, Al, Armand, and Rob, accounted for 14 assists, between them, which is great. So we just got to stay with it.
Coach, you mentioned after the exhibition that you would look out on the court and see a lot of new faces. Was there any less of that today? And I guess, having that experience in the exhibition, how did that kind of help?
There's some inexperience. I think Al being back in the lineup obviously helped, and then Rob being a part of what we're doing, you get a little bit more comfort level as a coach looking out there and seeing Rob and Al. We hadn't had that. I mean, it's really, in all reality, it's the first time the two guys have played together all year. They haven't been a part of a practice together, to be honest with you. So to have those two guys out there gives you a little bit more comfort level and confidence that your older, more experienced guys are playing. So we had a little bit more familiarity there. And eventually Devontae makes his way back. Now you have a third guy out there, so it gives you a little bit more comfort. Demezy and Jerome and Justin, those guys playing together on the floor at times is good, and at times you need another ball handler maybe a little bit. But I'm good right now. I mean, I feel like if we just keep evolving and our guys stay with it, we have a lot of different guys that can help this team. And it's going to be strength by numbers. It's going to be by committee. And at the end of the day, this team, I think, is going to have to find a way to will itself to win with a lot of people doing a lot of different things. But the way you hold your hat on that is the effort level and the consistency defensively. If you can get great on defense and you can be a team that's deep on defense and you don't have weak links on defense, then the offense will take care of itself. We have to become a team. This team has to become a team that can play a lot of guys. It comes at you and is very solid defensively. And that's where we're trying to get to. We're not there yet by any stretch.
Mike?
Coach, whether it was off makes or misses, you guys seem particularly effective getting downhill and pushing the tempo. Is there anything about this particular team that is maybe better suited to play that style?
Well, you have front court depth. I mean, you have the ability to not play guys 35 minutes inside. They can't run all day. You're only as good as your front court can run. And Joey and Trace, Duran, Race, you move Justin down there a little bit. You have different options, and you can keep the pace up because your front court depth is good. If you don't have front court depth, you can't run. It doesn't matter what you say. But right now we have a stable of guys that I feel like if they're in there, they can put pressure on the rim. If you put pressure on the rim and your guards are doing a good job of advancing the ball and pushing it, I think that's what you're seeing right now is a team that's trying to continue to push the pace. We're getting a lot up the floor, which is a good sign. And that's got to be a part of what we're doing. We can't play, trudging through the mud. We got to get going.
All right, Coach. Thanks.
That was Coach Archie Miller after last night's 98-65 win over Western Illinois. Indiana opening up the college basketball season with the kind of performance that you want to see. It certainly doesn't bring a lot of questions, which is always a good thing. The only questions are how well can they perform once Devontae Green makes it back into this lineup. That's one name that we haven't said one time today. Kind of forgot there was so much to talk about, all of it positive. So not that it was perfect, not a perfect game, of course, but they did pretty well. I mean, that was a performance that you wanted to see. A team win. We got performances from a lot of different guys, so they answered a lot of questions, and I think that was a good look. And we'll see again on Saturday when they take on Portland State at 2:00 at Simon Scott-Assembly Hall if they can consistently manufacture that same type of performance again. I don't think Devontae Green will be back by then either. I've had questions about that. I don't know with any certainty that that's the case, but from what I've heard, I don't expect him to play just yet, especially since they don't need him right now. Let him get healthy. But then when you bring him back, now that's the thing. How's that going to gel? So that was an issue last year of gelling certain guys on the team without mentioning names. But the players also spoke last night. Justin Smith, who had an outstanding game with 24 points, matching a career high. Al Durham, 1 point short of a career high with 21 points on a perfect shooting night. And Rob Fennessy, who played an unexpected 18 minutes in that game. He also had 14 points in a very, very efficient short time out there. Let's hear what those guys had to say.
All three of you guys were out there in the lineup with Trace and Jerome. I think it was something like a 16 or 18-0 run there midway through the first half. For any of you, what was kind of working for that particular combination and just that whole stretch? How were you guys able to kind of create some separation with Western Illinois?
I'd say our defense. We had a lot of steals, and Trace and I think Justin had a couple blocks too, and we got out in transition. That's where we're at our best.
Go ahead.
Rob, how are you feeling physically? Have you started to feel the rhythm back in your game in the last week or just the last day? Or when did you start really getting better after the first few minutes tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say I'm 100%, but I mean, I'm still getting my rhythm back, and I feel like this game is a big confidence booster for me.
Rob, just to play on that, I mean, like, What's difficult for you right now? Basically, what's hard to play through? Basically, how do you feel at the end of the game? I mean, what's just the total physical?
I'm feeling fine now. I would say just my rhythm, just sitting out like that whole month of October, not being able to practice anything. So just the rhythm out there and just pretty much getting our team, my team chemistry up. So I've been out for a while.
Go ahead.
For Al and Rob, 18 assists to 11 turnovers, the ball movement today. How encouraging was that to see and the ability to take care of the ball as well?
It's a point of emphasis for us. We don't want to turn it over, but we want to. You can see everybody can contribute on this team, so I feel like 18 assists, great. We got to cut down on the turnovers, though.
Rob, there was one moment where I think you went pretty much face first into the floor for a ball. I mean, how much does you just enjoy that part of the game in terms of going after those balls and things like that?
Yeah, I really pride myself in defense. So whenever I get on the floor, be the first person on the floor, I feel like that gives our team a boost. And we might have got a bucket after that, I'm not sure. But I feel like just being the first person on the floor really helps our team.
Justin, I know after the exhibition you said there were a couple awkward lineups out there. Did you feel like there was a little bit more continuity there on the floor with some of the lineups that you guys had today? That you guys looked pretty comfortable out there together.
Yeah, I would say so. Just getting Al back that we didn't have in the exhibition. Now we're getting Rob back in here a little bit more. But I think we pride ourselves on our versatility. So even in practice, we play with some weird lineups to kind of just fill some things out. So whenever we need to do that, we'll be ready for it. But a lot of different players can do a lot of different things on the floor at any position. So we're just going to use that to our advantage.
You have another one?
Yeah, Justin, you're playing the three, it looks like, starting off, and I don't think you did that last year. Has your game, it looked like your game is advanced, not just because you're playing the three, but you were doing three things. Are you better this year, or could you have done that whenever, and you just didn't have a chance?
Whatever Coach Miller wants me to do, I would do on the floor. Whatever he asks me to do, he wants me to play the 4, he wants me to play the 5, he wants me to play the 1, I'll do it.
But did you work on your game at all to handle the 3 more?
Yeah. It was a goal for mine, to really be able to be more aggressive and more consistent on the perimeter. So that's really what I worked on this offseason, and I'm lucky that it's coming to fruition.
He was here an extra month, Greg.
In May,
in school.
Why are you telling it? Why are you telling it?
Because you didn't think about it. Go ahead, Zach.
I guess following up on that to Justin, you talked about embracing being one of this team's more versatile defenders as well last season. Just, I guess, where do you feel like you've improved defensively as a guy that did spend a lot of last year matching up with wing guys and high scoring, high volume scorers in Big Ten play?
I would say that on the ball and in ball screen, who my man is using ball screen. That's definitely going to be adjustment in the first couple games, and we're really working on it in practice. But I just got to keep going, keep getting better. As we get more reps doing that, it'll become second nature.
Justin, to kind of keep going on the offensive end piece of it, obviously the 3 takes you out further on the perimeter, but it also seems like you're more willing to maybe take guys down the low block from the perimeter and sort of take advantage of your size. Is that an emphasis where you're trying to make sure that when you have an athletic and a size advantages that you're kind of using that to punish your defender?
Yeah, it's definitely smart to use your advantage, especially when you have big guys on the wing like me, Jerome Demezy. We're getting guarded by, I think it was 6'2", 6'3", guys on the floor. So, just using our strength and also our quickness, if a big guy comes onto us, it's just kind of pick your poison at that point.
All right, guys, thank you.
There's Al Durham, Justin Smith, and Rob Finney talking about Indiana's 98-65 win over Western Illinois last night as they opened up the college basketball season. They will continue play on Saturday, as I said, as the next game up. Portland State, that's a 2 o'clock tip. You know what? check to see if that game's on, man. I know a lot of people upset when those games are on BTN Plus, but there's only so many games they can put on BTN at the same time. So unfortunately, that sometimes is going to be an issue for these early season games that don't draw. It was, I don't know if it was a 3/4 full Assembly Hall last night. Certainly wasn't packed house, but Saturday they come up next. Don't forget, after the game Saturday with Todd Leary comes to you again, round 2 for that, as we will be at the Tap at the southwest corner of the square in Bloomington. Looking forward to that. What a great time, a great place. If you haven't been there, you need to get there. The Finney Hospitality Group with several places in and around Bloomington. Great places, all of them. I think I've been to every one of them. I'm certain of that. So looking forward to that as well. We got a lot more coming up here when we come back. We're going to close out the show. It's been a good one so far, but we'll be back with plenty more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Long brown hair, she's so sweet with her. Yeah, back stare.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this midweek edition, Wednesday, November 6th. Hope you've had a great week so far. We've hit that midweek point, then it's all downhill from here, folks, so don't worry. Indiana basketball back on track on Saturday. IU football on a bye this week. So they are preparing to take on the Penn State Nittany Lions next week in Happy Valley, as their regular season is coming to a close. 3 games remain at Penn State. Then they host Michigan at home. I saw that that's the Thanksgiving weekend, I guess. So the student tickets have turned into general admission, and what a great deal. $35 for a general admission ticket to that section for the Michigan game. You better snatch those up because there are some good seats. It's the entire section, it's top to bottom. So I'd reach down to get that. But looking forward to that. Indiana closing the season out. Where are they going to go for a bowl, man? I sure hope it's Florida. I got to tell you, I'm ready to go for Florida. January. That wouldn't be bad. I'll take it. The college basketball season opened up last night with some huge games. Obviously, Indiana, a big win, 98-65 over Western Illinois. We've been talking about that all day. Numbers 1, 2, 3, and 4 all playing, not only playing, but playing each other last night as number 1 Michigan State lost to Kentucky in a tight game. And then I think Duke ended up beating Kansas, didn't they, Jake? I didn't get to see that game because of the Indiana game and the post-game show, but that Kansas, 18 first-half turnovers. I still can't get over that. That's just crazy, man. It's nuts. But what a great way to start the basketball season. Number 1 playing 2, number 3 playing 4. That's crazy. Crazy stuff, man. Hey, coming up tomorrow, since Indiana's on a bye week, we're still going to do the reporter segment, but it's probably going to be a little different. I don't have an opposing team member to have in this week, so definitely I'll have Dustin Schutte on from the Saturday Tradition. We're going to talk a lot about the college football playoff poll that came out. The first one that came out that shows 2 big teams in the top 4. You got Ohio State at the top, number 1 spot, and Penn State right there at number 4. They'll be playing in a couple of weeks, so they'll take care of that. LSU, Alabama, the other 2 teams in the top 4, they will also be playing. I think that's this Saturday, as a matter of fact, that those 2 will clash. Then you got Clemson. How about Clemson sitting at number 5? I think they deservedly don't deserve to be in. They haven't played anybody. They haven't beaten anyone. And they damn near lost to a very mediocre North Carolina. They were lucky to get out of that game alive. Lucky, I tell you. So I'm not saying that Clemson's not a good team, but man, they played no one. The ACC is absolutely one of the worst. Well, it's got to be the worst Power 5 conference without doubt. There's just no depth to that conference whatsoever this season. I mean, I know things are cyclical, but that conference is historically bad. There just aren't very many good teams in that conference at all. I'm sure that'll change in a few years, but right now it's not. So you got all that to get to. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Of course, on Friday, the Toddfather returns. Todd Leary will be back with us as we'll preview Indiana Portland State and talk about our post-game show that we'll be doing the following day is behind that game as well. So lots coming up. Had a great show today. I cannot thank Matt Weaver enough, as always, from Peaks.com, who's with us. The Toddfather, Todd Leary, was on today as well. As thankful to him. And we got to hear from Archie Miller, from Justin Smith, Al Durham, and Rob Fennessy. So it was a complete day, man. What a great day. Jake did a great job keeping us on the track. So because of that, we can get out of here safely and be back tomorrow now. So until tomorrow, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.